As a prepper, it's essential to be selective about the food items you store for long-term survival. While some foods can withstand extended storage periods, others are prone to spoilage and degradation over time. Here are examples of food items not suitable for long-term storage and their consequences. 1. Fresh produce. We love our greens, but fresh produce, especially leafy greens like lettuce and spinach, poses challenges for long-term storage due to their high water content and perishable nature. Without proper refrigeration and humidity control, these items can quickly wilt, become slimy, and develop off-putting odors, rendering them inedible. Factors such as temperature fluctuations, exposure to ethylene gas, and bacterial contamination further accelerate spoilage. Produce that keeps best at room temperature needs air circulation. Plastic bags equal premature spoilage. Even if the bananas, potatoes, or onions you bought came in a perforated plastic bag, they'll last longer if you take them out and let them breathe. If produce appears, smells, and tastes fine, it may still be usable beyond the recommended timelines. However, if there are any doubts or if something seems off, it's best to err on the side of caution and discard it to ensure food safety. Trust your instincts and remember the adage, when in doubt, throw it out. You may explore alternative preservation methods like canning or freezing, but these can alter the texture and flavor of the produce. Overall, prioritizing short-term consumption or considering alternative preservation techniques is essential to minimize waste and ensure food safety in emergency situations. 2. Dairy products. Dairy products, such as milk, cheese, and yogurt, are perishable items that spoil easily, even when refrigerated. Factors such as high moisture content, bacterial growth, and temperature fluctuations contribute to their degradation. For instance, milk can sour, cheese can develop mold, and yogurt can separate or become watery. Proper storage and monitoring are crucial to prevent spoilage, especially in emergency situations where refrigeration may not be available. Yogurt can be stored in the refrigerator around 40 Fahrenheit 1 to 2 weeks, or frozen for 1 to 2 months. Soft cheeses such as cottage cheese, ricotta, or brie can be refrigerated 1 week, but they don't freeze well. Hard cheeses, such as cheddar, Swiss, and Parmesan, can be stored in the refrigerator 6 months before opening the package and 3 to 4 weeks after opening. It can also be frozen 6 months. Processed cheese slices don't freeze well but can be kept in the refrigerator 1 to 2 months. Milk can be refrigerated 7 days. Buttermilk, about 2 weeks. Milk or buttermilk may be frozen for about 3 months. Sour cream is safe in the refrigerator about 1 to 3 weeks, but doesn't freeze well. As we know, it's essential to prioritize non-perishable alternatives or invest in specialized long-term storage methods to ensure a reliable emergency food supply. 3. Bread and baked goods. Storing bread and baked goods for long-term survival poses challenges due to staleness, mold growth, temperature fluctuations, and nutritional decline. These items go stale and develop mold with prolonged storage, especially when exposed to moisture and temperature changes. Storing them in airtight containers may delay spoilage, but eventual degradation makes them less palatable and potentially harmful to consume. Commercially baked breads and rolls can be stored at room temperature for 2 to 4 days, or 7 to 14 days in the refrigerator. Bread products retain their quality when stored in the freezer for 3 months. Any breads containing meat or hard-cooked eggs must be refrigerated within 2 hours. So here's some practical advice. To preserve bread, especially if you're not planning to consume it immediately, store it wrapped in plastic or foil in the freezer. Whether sliced or whole, freezing helps maintain its freshness. When ready to enjoy, simply reheat it in the oven for optimal taste and texture. If reheating isn't preferred, wrapping the bread tightly and keeping it at room temperature can extend its lifespan, although it may gradually lose quality over time. Avoid refrigerating bread, as it can accelerate staling. If your bread becomes stale, baking it in the oven can help reverse some of the effects, provided it was well wrapped to prevent drying. This method allows you to salvage bread that might otherwise go to waste. 4. Canned foods with damage. Damaged canned foods present a risk of bacterial contamination or spoilage due to compromised seals or structural defects. Even minor damage like dents or bulges can allow air and contaminants to enter, creating conditions for bacterial growth. The USDA suggests the following steps to determine if a dented can is safe or dangerous. Keep and use. A can with a small dent that is in good shape otherwise and has no denting at the seam of the can. Discard. If the dent is in the seam of the can, that means that air and moisture may have a more direct path. Discard. Deeply dented cans. If you can lay your finger in the dent, that's too deep. It's better to be safe and discard or return the can. Discard. If the dent has sharp edges, again, most likely not safe, and may mean the can is compromised with bacteria. Consuming food from damaged cans can lead to food poisoning or other health issues. Regular inspection and discarding of compromised items are essential for maintaining the safety and integrity of your emergency food supply. 5. Fatty foods. You should be cautious when storing fatty foods for long-term survival due to the risk of rancidity caused by oxidation. Examples include nuts, seeds, and fatty meats, which can develop unpleasant tastes and potential health hazards if not stored properly. To prevent rancidity, you should store these foods in airtight containers in a cool and dark environment and rotate supplies regularly. Choosing alternative sources of protein and fats with longer shelf lives can also mitigate the risk of rancidity in emergency food supplies. To mitigate the risk of rancidity in fatty foods, preppers should take several precautions. Store nuts, seeds, and fatty meats in airtight containers or vacuum-sealed bags to minimize exposure to oxygen. Keep these foods in a cool, dark, and dry environment to slow down oxidation and preserve freshness. Rotate stored supplies regularly, using older items first to ensure freshness and prevent waste. Consider alternative sources of protein and fats for long-term storage, such as freeze-dried meats, jerky, and nut butters, which have longer shelf lives and are less prone to rancidity. 6. Potatoes. Potatoes, while versatile and nutritious, are not ideal for long-term storage due to their tendency to sprout, shrivel, and rot over time, despite proper storage conditions. Sprouting occurs due to the potato's survival mechanism, leading to changes in texture and flavor. Shriveling results from moisture loss, while rotting can occur due to mold, bacteria, or fungi growth. To mitigate these issues, store potatoes in a well-ventilated, dark, and cool environment and regularly inspect them for signs of deterioration. Overall, while suitable for short to medium-term storage, potatoes may not be optimal for extended periods. To mitigate these issues, you may opt to store potatoes in a manner that minimizes sprouting, shriveling, and rotting. This could include proper ventilation. Ensure potatoes are stored in a well-ventilated area to prevent the buildup of moisture, which can accelerate sprouting and rotting. Dark environment. Store potatoes in a dark place to minimize exposure to light, which can trigger sprouting and greening, a sign of solanine accumulation. Cool temperature. Maintain storage temperatures between 45 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which is around 7 to 10 degrees Celsius, to slow down sprouting and inhibit bacterial growth. Regular inspection. Check stored potatoes regularly for signs of sprouting, shriveling, or rotting, and remove any affected ones promptly to prevent spoilage from spreading. 7. Cooked rice and pasta. Cooked rice and pasta are prone to bacterial contamination if stored improperly, leading to food poisoning. It's essential for you to store and handle these foods correctly to avoid health risks during emergencies. Consider alternative carbohydrate sources like dehydrated meals, canned foods, and grains to mitigate the risk of foodborne illnesses. To mitigate these risks, you should consider alternative options for carbohydrate sources in their emergency food supply. Examples include dehydrated meals. Prepackaged dehydrated meals that only require water for reconstitution can provide a safer alternative to cooked rice and pasta. These meals are designed for long-term storage and have undergone processes to remove moisture, inhibiting bacterial growth. Canned foods. Canned rice and pasta dishes are commercially available and undergo a sterilization process during canning, which kills harmful bacteria and extends shelf life. However, it's essential to check the expiration dates and inspect cans for any signs of damage before consumption. Grains and legumes. Whole grains like quinoa, barley, and bulgur, as well as dried beans and lentils, are shelf-stable and less susceptible to bacterial contamination. These items can be stored long-term and cooked as needed during an emergency. By diversifying carbohydrate sources and adhering to proper storage and food safety practices, you can minimize the risk of foodborne illnesses associated with cooked rice and pasta in their emergency preparedness plans. 8. Nutritional supplements. Nutritional supplements stored for long periods can lose potency due to exposure to heat, light, and moisture. This can lead to inadequate nutrition when consumed during emergencies. You should store supplements in cool, dry places away from sunlight and heat sources to maintain their effectiveness. For example, let's consider a scenario where you store a bottle of multivitamin supplements in a kitchen cabinet near the stove. Over time, the supplements are exposed to heat from cooking activities, causing the vitamins to degrade and lose their effectiveness. As a result, when you rely on these supplements during an emergency, they may not provide the intended nutritional benefits, potentially putting their health at risk. To prevent such issues, you should prioritize proper storage conditions for your nutritional supplements. This includes storing them in a cool, dry place away from direct sunlight and heat sources. Additionally, regularly checking expiration dates and rotating supplements to ensure freshness is essential for maintaining their potency over time. By taking these precautions, preppers can ensure that their emergency food supplies remain effective in providing essential nutrients during times of need. Regularly checking expiration dates and rotating supplements helps ensure freshness and potency. 9. Improperly sealed home-canned foods. Improperly sealed home-canned foods pose a risk of bacterial contamination and spoilage, potentially leading to foodborne illnesses. You should carefully inspect canned items for signs of spoilage, such as bulging lids or off odors, and discard any suspicious jars. Following proper canning procedures and investing in quality equipment can help mitigate the risk associated with home-canned foods. Additionally, you can take proactive measures to ensure the safety of their home-canned foods by following proper canning procedures, including sterilizing jars, using appropriate canning techniques, and processing foods for the recommended time and temperature. Investing in quality canning equipment, such as pressure canners and accurate thermometers, can also help maintain food safety standards. By being vigilant about the quality of home-canned foods and following best practices for canning, you can minimize the risk of bacterial contamination and spoilage, ensuring the long-term viability of their emergency food supply. Stay focused on the positive while remaining aware of your surroundings. Maintaining a positive mindset is crucial during challenging times. Despite any darkness or despair, remember that you are prepared for this moment. Your prepping and training have equipped you to face adversity with resilience. By heeding the advice to avoid storing certain items long-term and adhering to proper storage practices, you can ensure the safety and effectiveness of your emergency food supply. Regularly rotating perishable items and staying vigilant for signs of spoilage will help you stay ready for whatever comes your way. Until next time, stay prepared and stay safe, and thanks for watching.